the fact that Peter, just being, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, was able to hold his own against Doctor Strange, the former like Sorcerer Supreme.
Oh,
That is
definitely.
huge because, he's on a whole different level. He's on the level of like Wanda, he's on the level of, the heroes that we just assumed to be much more higher on like the scale. And so to see that in a way that I think um is orchestrated very, I use the word realistically very loosely because we're talking about,
Hmm.
superheroes, but realistic for their world. Like I like the way that they did it. It wasn't a stretch where we're like, oh, I just didn't land. Like it
Right.
makes sense. And I love that Peter is like, oh my God, this is so cool, but don't do this to me ever again. And then they dive into the fight in the mirror dimension, and even in here where like Doctor Strange is like, I
Right.
control this world, right? Like he doesn't have a sling ring, Peter doesn't know how to do magic, he's
Right.
not
Right.
Ned, and he's able to outsmart him just by geometry. And so, obviously he's able to lock away Doctor Strange for him to have the time to figure out how to help, the Sinister Five and get them back home in a way that they have that
But I
actual
do want to
chance.
kind of add on
And
to what you said here, just because uh, I want to talk about his spider sense, the Peter tingle, just for a moment, okay? Just because I totally forgot about
let's
the astral form and then his physical body still kind of moving the cube away. So yeah, I would say that was necessarily the sense that Peter didn't have control of. He's never had control of his spider sense. It's just more so
Mhm.
something that he feels, you know. And with that, I
Yes.
would just say no matter what, if if Peter is in his astral form, right? This sense is quote unquote in his DNA. So no matter what, the physical body is going to protect itself, you know. And
Mhm.
we've seen that with just the history of Spider-Man in general, from the movies to the comics or anything. The Spider-Man, the spider sense is going to protect him. So that's why I feel like in the mirror dimension, Spider-Man may be the only one who can hold his own and not get lost, you know, because if
Mhm.
anything, the Spider-Man the spider sense is going to kind of take over and let's call it like that fight or flight type situation, you know, to where no
Yeah.
matter
Yeah.
what, it's going to react, and Doctor Strange may throw anything and everything from different types of buildings to trains and everything like that. But uh, Peter, I can't say is quick enough mentally to do the moves that he's doing. So it's more so the spider sense that's protecting him and kind of putting these movements into motion to be like, oh, now I got to do this. Oh, I got to dodge that. You know. So just thinking about it, like in
Yeah.
watching it, I didn't really think too much about it. I just thought it was a good ass scene. But now thinking about it, I was like, okay, if we're in the mirror dimension, okay, because we've seen other wizards or sorcerers in there. Right, right, right.
Caecilius. Yeah,
We've
the
seen that, and we've seen them fall in this dimension, you know. And they even though they know how to control it and exit, if it were like a regular human, you don't know. Like I don't think anybody would be able to either figure it out or figure out a way to get out, you know. So shout out to the
yeah.
spider sense or spidey sense for being able, like, this is cool. I'm kind of geeking out because that whole scene was bananas. And yeah, he got his little nerd on to be like, oh, I'm just gonna now use geometry. Oh, this, add that, subtract this, and boom, you got, yeah, and then you're
Done.
out of there, you know.